It was a fall night, cooler than this year, and my family was all in the car together, my mother, my father, and my younger brother, and we were on our way to the restaurant called Applebee's in South Bend. This was a tradition that we had typically on Friday nights when I wasn't working, and we would go to Applebee's to spend some time together. Well, I specifically remember this night because I had told my parents that I had something very special to tell them. and that we needed to go out and celebrate. So where else would we go but Applebee's? I was a freshman at Goshen College at the time. Being Brethren, my family expected me to go to Manchester College. But I had heard on the news they were doing a story. It was 1999, and they were doing a story about the Chalking incident, and the Matthew Shepard incident had happened at that time. And they were reporting on how many, LGBT people could be at college campuses around the state. And so they said, as a matter of fact, that there were 100 gay and lesbian people at Goshen College. So I thought, that's a wonderful place. I'm going to go there. So I went there. And I enjoyed it. But and so I was there and learning about myself, and I'd already come out to myself, and wanted to come out to my family as well. I remember at that time I had called in to Amy, who was working at the BMC offices at the time, and she was like, "What is this frantic kid calling about?" I was probably like, "What am I doing?" And so I also looked online, and they were talking about coming out in a safe space. And someone recommended coming out in a public place. So that's how I sort of got the idea that we should go out to eat. So there we were in the car, and we passed all these familiar towns that were on our way from Bremen, Indiana, where my parents lived at the time, to South Bend. And there are these little towns of Wyatt and Woodland. And if you blink, you don't even know you've gone through that town. But that night, I remember it was like forever. That drive took forever. So we finally got to the restaurant, and we were seated, and I remember it was a typical Friday night. There were lots of college students mulling around, and the bar was busy, and the waiter sort of came and hurriedly took our order, and so I thought, well, it'd be good for me to wait to come out until everybody had food, because people seem to be better receiving news once they've had some food. So, being a planned person, I thought that I would write my coming out to them on index cards. So I had gone to the campus bookstore and bought books, resources for my father, who's a pastor, so I had stuff on LGBT spirituality, and for my mom I had things on being a family and having a gay child, and for my brother it was having a gay sibling. And so there I was. I got out of my bookstore bag these books, and I passed them out, and I took out the note cards. And so it's like, Mom, Dad, Aaron. I'm gay. And so I went on to tell them how much I love them, and how glad I was to share this news with them. And So my mother's first reaction was, she grew up in Southern California and in a suburb of LA, very close to LA. And she knew gay men who had come out in high school at that time in the 70s. And so she said, are you coming out to be popular? Because there were some Samoan football players, and they had come out, and they were very popular in my high school. And I said, no, I'm not coming out to be popular. Not at Goshen College. So we continued talking, and my dad hadn't said anything at that time. And so he just got very quiet and got up and left the restaurant. So I was thinking, like, okay, maybe we should go out and, find where he went. But my mom said, no, we're going to stay here and finish our meal. I think it was her way of trying to maintain normalcy and sort of, maintain what had always been that, Friday night meal at Applebee's. And but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, did he go across the way to the mall to get a soft pretzel? What's going on here? Truth be told, he was probably out in the car wondering where the heck were we. So I finished as quickly as I possibly could. And then we took the car ride back home, which is about a half an hour ride. The car was totally silent the whole ride home. So I'm wondering, oh my God, now what did I do? And so I sort of went back to school. I continued with my life. I went on SST. I transferred to Manchester during my junior year, finished college, and then I went to volunteer at the BMC. And and during all this time, we really didn't talk a lot about my coming out or being gay. But my brother did then, after that, come out himself. And so that was also an impetus for them for a learning experience. And so I continued on. I met my partner John at Manchester, and he moved up to Minneapolis. And so it was my last year at BMC. I was there 2 years, and we were planning to do an annual conference action. And when we were trying to discern to do something very brethren, and we were thinking, well, what could we do? And so we were thinking, the love feast is very brethren, but it's hard to have a love feast and with a large group at annual conference. So we decided on doing the communion aspect. And along with that, we were going to build a table and take it into the conference hall for that, build our own communion table. So I remember Carol Wise and I going to the hardware store, and neither of us knowing anything about carpentry, trying to find something to build a table with. Well, we finally got it together, and I asked my parents if they would like to speak, because we were inviting various people to speak. And they said, sure, we'll speak. And I thought, oh, I wonder what they're going to say. So we went into the conference hall at annual conference, brought the table in, and started the process. So people were going to hammer onto the table and then make a little speech at the microphone before we did the communion. And it came time for my parents, and I thought, oh, are they just going to go up to the mic? What's going to happen? And my mom took the hammer and really hammered hard on that table. Hammered and hammered. I remember it just kept going. And my dad came to the mic, and he said, I love both my sons, and I want the church to love them as much as I do. And the silence was broken.